welcome to the latest edition of Second Take. I'm your host, Aaron Campbell. At the desk, we have Nick Powell and Pete Whitmer. And on this episode, we are breaking down the 2017 men's NCAA basketball tournament bracket. First, we look at the Midwest region, which features Michigan University, the Big Ten tourney champs that had a galvanizing run in the Big Ten championship tournament, a streak that involved a power outage, a plane accident, and winning 4 games in 4 days to mark their first win in that tournament since 1998, a victory that was vacated because of a booster scandal. Nick, what are your predictions for this region?
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Listen, the Midwest has got 2 major teams you need to pay attention to. Creighton has their recent loss of Maurice Watson is too much for that team to overcome. Now, they probably do beat Rhode Island, but that's they can't keep up with number 3 seeded Oregon. The other one Aaron touched on was Michigan. Michigan had a string of bad luck, and they're hot right now, winning those 4 games in those 4 days. Don't underestimate a little bad luck building a whole lot of character. I see them going far in this tournament.
Well, Meatball, thank you first off for bringing up Creighton. I think you know who I was taking in this. Don't know if you know, but I'm actually going with Rhode Island here. I think you mentioned the loss to Creighton's point guard. For them to overcome, I think that's going to be a huge, real tall task for them to lose their point guard, Maurice Watson. And also, I have Rhode Island kind of the sleeper in the Midwest. With that injury, there's another injury that really comes into play that could benefit Rhode Island, and that's Oregon's big man, Chris Boucher, who just tore his ACL within the week at the Pac-12 tournament. So for Rhode Island's draw to go up against Creighton with their leader tearing his ACL, as well as second-round potential matchup with Oregon, losing their big man underneath, I got Rhode Island in my Sweet 16. That's my big sleeper in the Midwest. Ultimately, though, in the Midwest, can't deny the greatness at Bill Self, winning 13 straight regular season Big 12 titles, rolling with Kansas out of the Midwest.
I am as well.
Aaron, back to you.
Well, just like you guys, I too have picked Kansas out of the Midwest. Now, over in the East, we have the odds-on favorite Duke Blue Devils. The Devils have the most losses ever for a team favored by Vegas with 8, and have had a year marked with turmoil as the media spotlight has been shined on junior guard Grayson Allen's on-court actions and coach Mike Krzyzewski's back surgery in January, which caused him to miss 7 games. Duke went 4-3 during Coach K's absence. However, returning champion Villanova is also playing out of the East, coming into the tournament with the number 2 ranked defense in the country. Can the Wildcats avoid the flying limbs of Grayson Allen to become the first repeat champions since Florida in 2006 and 2007? Or will Duke add another title to their already legendary resume? Pete, what do you think?
Well, Aaron, you brought him up, and I can't imagine that he's going to go all tournament without being spoken of or picked on. And to me, as long as Grayson Allen keeps both feet on the court, I think Duke's got a real good chance to come out of the East region. I know when Coach K was out, they had a tough month there in January with 4 losses. Half their losses came in 1 month. But with those guys, or with that being said, I think the run they just went on in 4 games in 4 days, first time ever in the ACC tournament history. I think Duke is back to being what Duke is. Also, in that region, you're talking about the defending national champions in Villanova, and we saw what they did, hitting a last-second buzzer shot for the forward Chris Jenkins. That's something that's even tougher to do second time go around. So that's a huge matchup to me. I think it'll be the winner will come out of that game. But ultimately, I personally have Duke and the Fighting Grayson Allen Blue Devils headed back to the Final Four yet again.
Pete, Grayson Allen doesn't fight. He's a dirty player. He trips you and then just runs away. Yeah, let's keep piling on Grayson Allen here. Duke did start the season very strong, just per usual. I mean, they are who they are. But after Grayson Allen started showing off his millennial side and just started tripping people when he wasn't getting the kind of playing time, kind of shots he wanted, they kind of went from there. That and the fact that Coach K's absence did hurt the team. They did struggle, but. If Allen starts acting his age and Coach K's back behind the helm, I think they can go pretty far, and I do have Duke coming out of the East as well.
Well, once again, the 3 of us agree on a regional pick, as I took Duke as the winner here too. Now, in the West, Gonzaga is a 1 seed. Will this be the year for Gonzaga to make it to a Final Four? They finished first in their conference the past 5 years and entered the tournament as a 1 seed before in 2012 and 2013, but they've never made it past the Elite 8. Now, I know both of you picked a lot of upsets in this region, But can you guys talk about one of those matchups in particular that you each feel strongly about? Nick, which upset is foremost in your mind?
Absolutely. Big upset that I have coming out of the West is Princeton. Princeton made the big dance by winning the Ivy League Conference, which is much harder than you think. It's no small task. Let's not forget 2011 when Notre Dame lost the ACC to Louisville. They did not get over that loss and did lose in the tournament and were bounced in the first round by a lowly Akron team. History is going to repeat itself this weekend with Notre Dame losing to the Ivy League champs in Princeton. As far as another big one, I think a first round bounce from the Big Dance. From the Big Dance for West Virginia. Last year, they decided to lose to Stephen F. Austin in the first round. However, I don't believe that's going to happen this year. I think that just one season removed, they don't forget the pain that felt from being a first round bounce. So I think they're going to right their ship, and they're going to beat Brigham.
All right, Meatball. Couple things. First off, just kind of curious, do you think because you're picking Princeton that makes you smarter picking the Ivy League school? Because I don't see how there's any way that you think Notre Dame is going to get upset. They both play a very similar style offense, both like to slow it down and shoot the deep ball. And with Notre Dame finishing where they did with 25-plus wins in the toughest conference in basketball, I don't see any way that a less athletic team beats the Irish at their own game. So that's first comment. Second comment, glad you brought up West Virginia. Right on cue. Couldn't have done it without you.
That's what I'm here for.
Bucknell, though, giving up 66 points a game. Might sound not impressive with being in the Patriot League, but West Virginia is coming in. They have not scored over 80 points 5 out of the last 6 ball games. They're struggling offensively, and defensively, we all know they like to try to speed you up. They like to play their zone. Bucknell, again, is going to slow them down, and when they get them into the 1-3-1 zone, they're going to let it fly. That's exactly what a zone invites you to do, is to shoot the three ball. The Bucknell Bison come in as a team shooting over 34%. That's all guys on the roster combined shooting over 34%. Coach Bob Huggins, I think, has got to come up with a different game plan here, get them a little out of their comfort zone if they want to have a chance. But also, keep in mind, this game is being held in Buffalo, New York, less than 3 hours away from the home of Bucknell. Those crazy kids are on spring break. Look for that to be a factor. I'm taking Bucknell, mark it down, Bucknell over West Virginia. And out of the region, I got Arizona representing the West, playing in the Final Four in their hometown in Phoenix.
Thank you for reminding me, Pete. I did not tell you who I had coming out. And good pick with Arizona. However, you are incorrect, just like you're incorrect about West Virginia. Coming out of the West, we're going to have the Zags. I think the Zags finally do it this year. They are going to make the Final Four.
Well, you know, I have to agree with Pete here. There is no way Princeton is beating the Fighting Irish in the first round. They're coming in really hot, and they have too much to prove to go gently into the good night that is a first-round tournament loss. My ultimate winner of the West, however, is Arizona. I also agree with Pete on this. Finally, we head over to the South, a region that has 3 of the most storied programs in men's college basketball history: Kentucky, UCLA, and North Carolina. Here we also have Northern Kentucky, a 15 seed that made the tourney cut in its first year of D1 eligibility. Only one, if any, of these programs can come out of this region to make it to the Final Four. I've got the UCLA Bruins. Pete, what do you think about this fully loaded region?
Well, Aaron, I think you said it exactly right. It is fully loaded. We got all the blue bloods you could ever imagine, anyone that you could think of, we got them all. We got UCLA, we got UNC, we got Kentucky. Coach Calipari trying to win a second national title at Kentucky. For me personally, though, I think UCLA has the toughest road to the Final Four. Starting with their second-round matchup against Cincinnati. They come in with 2 guards, 6'6" senior guard, Jacob Evans leading the team in points. Going to be a tough matchup. Although he's a freshman Pac-12 Player of the Year, I think Lonzo Ball is going to have a tough time against the Cincinnati Bearcats, and that's just in the second round. Then you're looking at a potential matchup against Kentucky, and then going forward. So I think for UCLA, it's going to be awful tough. I got them getting to the Sweet 16, or Elite 8, or Sweet 16 rather, and ultimately losing to Kentucky. Again, I think this region is fully loaded. which brings me to my next point, and I have UNC winning this region. Again, they're coming out of the top half of the bracket, or top half of this region, whereas UCLA and University of Kentucky are going to beat themselves up, leaving a nice, easy paved road for UNC. I have UNC, North Carolina, the Tar Heels getting back to the Final Four in back-to-back seasons.
Good picks. Good picks. Not don't hate any of those. Don't hate them. A couple of real quick upsets that I have is Seton Hall. I have over Arkansas. I really like that matchup. And to me, the biggest story coming out of the South is the woeful underseeding of Wichita State. The Shockers are played much better than their seed says, and to me, I think they're going to go much farther than anyone thinks they are in the tournament. As far as who I have coming out, I do have Butler and Wichita State playing in the Elite Eight, and I do have Butler taking the Shockers and coming out of the South.
And speaking of the Shockers, that's a shocker there. But back to picks. So we've given you our region, we've broken down each region, we've let you know who we have coming out of there. Nick, your Final Four is kind of set. Give us real quick your Final Four, then your championship game, and ultimately the national championship in 2017.
Absolutely. Real quick, out of the Midwest, I got Kansas facing off out of the South. As I just said, Butler. I think Kansas takes Butler. And going out of the East, I have Duke. Coming out of the West, I have Gonzaga. I have the Zags taking care of the Blue Devils. And Rock Chalk Jayhawk, I got Kansas winning another NCAA tournament.
Rock Chalk. Well, there you heard it from Meatball. I, of course, have to fight back here. I know I take Kansas to the championship game. But for them to win it, I think is going to be a tall task. I personally have Arizona out of the West defeating Duke to get to the final, and then Kansas beating UNC on the other side for a showdown in Phoenix between the Arizona Wildcats and the Kansas Jayhawks. But when it comes down to it, I'm taking the hometown team with the home court advantage. Arizona 71-62, mark it down. You heard it here first on Second Take.
Finally, we all disagree on something. I have Duke winning the big dance, but, only time will tell which one of the three of us is correct, and, of course, which of the two of us will never hear the end of it. They're Nick and Pete, I'm Aaron, and this has been Second Take.